Hello, good people, and welcome to Hillbilly Cat History, Spiritual Books, the Book of John, and the Impersonal Life. And today, we'll be reading the third chapter of the Impersonal Life, one of Elvis's favorite books, which he was introduced to in 1964 by his good friend, Larry Geller. But before we get started, we'll listen to this song, which is about a cross that Elvis saw on a circle. The Circle G.
He saw the cross at dawn and said, "It's a good omen, and a dream again." At the break of dawn, through the window pane, he saw a cross in morning rain, white as grace, tall as prayer, calling him to build and share. Not a kingdom, not a throne, but a place of love alone, where laughter rides on horse's breath and peace outshines the fear of death. Come home to the circle and the sign, where the lake reflects the holy line. No one needs money, no one needs fame, just a handshake and a name. Come home where the cross stands tall. Come and share the love of all. Mobile homes and barbecue nights, trucks and trowels and porch light rides. He handpicked hard to share the dream, a mythic village by the stream. This is more than land, it's grace, refuge carved in sacred space, a gift of love to friends and kin, protected from the world's loud din. Come home to the circle and the sign, where the lake reflects the holy line. No one needs money, no one needs fame, just a handshake and a name. Come home, come home, where the cross stands tall. Come and share the love of all. Oh, come and share the love of all.
Thank you for gathering here at Hillbilly Cat History, where we remember together and listen for the echoes. Today we're going to hear the echoes of Joseph Benner in his book, The Impersonal Life. And we're going to look at chapter 3, which is called I, Life, God. In the last episode, we looked at a Bible, a very special Bible, that was given to Elvis by the Memphis Mafia. and it had a very special representation and illustration of the tree of life. And on the branches of the tree were written the names of all the members of Elvis's inner circle. And Elvis's name was written on the trunk, but Larry Geller's name was left off. Elvis would not take the gift until Larry's name had been added. And so that gift, it symbolized unity, but within the unity there was a fracture. And Elvis was able to heal the fracture in that moment. Now, later on, the tree splintered again, and a lot of the branches fell off. But I think the message of unity that was in Elvis's heart at the end of 1964, a lot of it's coming out of this book, where it's expressing that your inner self, the voice that tells you the truth, the part of you that is with God, the divine you, what Joseph Benner calls I am, sometimes refers to as me in the capital letters, that this is part of a unity of a universal truth, that everybody is part of a whole. And I think some of that message was living in Elvis's heart in that moment. And it even made it out into the inner circle because Marty thought up the gift of the symbol of the tree. Now, Marty didn't include Larry, so he fell a little short. But he was gathering some of the message of unity, even though he wasn't going through any of the spiritual studies. But let's read this chapter. I, life, God. If that which you have read has awakened a response within, and the soul of you yearns for more, then you are ready for what follows. Hi, Pat. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate seeing you here. So what we've already read in this book has told us that we have to be still and know that I am God. To be still enough to quiet your mind that you can hear the voice, the divine voice talking to you, not your own needs and desires and wants, which tend to overpower everything. The book says, if that which you have read has awakened a response within, and the soul of you yearns for more, then you are ready for what follows. But if you still question or rebel at the seeming assumption of divine authority for what is herein written, your intellect telling you it is but another attempt to beguile your mind with cunning suggestion and subtle sophistry, then you will receive no benefit from these words. For their meaning is as yet hidden from your mortal consciousness, and my word must come to you through other avenues of expression. So the book is telling the reader, or Elvis, that if by this point in the book you doubt that the book is telling you the truth, you're not going to believe anything else that comes within the book. And the book may not be the avenue that's meant for you to be awakened to the divine presence in your heart. The book is not the only path. It's a path, a doorway, a portal. But you can find another. And if you can't believe in this one, you'll have to find another. And it is well if your personality with its intellect impels you thus to question, and rebel against authority you do not yet know to be mine. But it is really I who cause your personality thus to rebel. For your personality, with its proud sense of individuality, is still needed by me to develop a mind and body strong enough that they can perfectly express me. The book's also saying that you may simply not be ready to hear the message. It may be that at this moment all avenues and portals are closed to you because I'm still working with you to get to that point. And that it's good that you doubt when people tell you that they are me, that they are your inner voice, that they are your I am. That many people will try to speak for I am. And you have to be able to discern when it is truly your heart and when it's an external presence that's trying to tell you something, that wants you to do something. And until you have become prepared to know me, it is the mission I have given your personality thus to question and rebel. So the book says that by questioning, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. That's what I am's telling you to do, to question. Because you've got to be able to question and rebel as we go forward. But once you recognize my authority, that moment, the undermining of the authority of the personality has begun, and the days of its dominion are numbered, and you will more and more turn to me for help and guidance. The book's saying there's going to come a point where you really do recognize the voice. You recognize God in your heart. You understand the path that is being laid out before you. And at that moment, you will begin to shed your mortal self as you begin to concentrate more and more on the spiritual side. The book says, therefore, be not dismayed, and read on, and mayhap the recognition will come. But know that you can read or not as you choose. But whichever you do, it is really I who choose, and not you. So the book is telling Elvis, or the reader, that you may be doubting at this moment. And therefore, I've already told you, you're not going to accept anything that's forward in the text. But you can go ahead and read it. And maybe as you read it, you'll come to a point where you say, oh, I do see this as truth. Then you'll probably reread it and get the message. That the path may be hidden further in the book. It's just you haven't recognized it yet. But it's up to you whether to move forward in the book or to look for the message elsewhere. But that the voice in your heart, God in your heart, your conscience, it already knows whether or not you're going to find the path in this book. And so whatever path that you choose, it's guiding you into that path. That all of this is as it should be. And the book says, for you who seemingly choose not to read further, I have other plans. And in due season you shall learn that whatever you do, or like or desire, it is I leading you through all the fallacies and illusions of the personality, and that you may finally awaken to their unreality and then turn to me as the one and only reality. The book is saying that there are a lot of false paths, and it may be necessary for you to travel those false paths. Like when you're in a labyrinth and you're trying to find your way out, there may be a lot of dead ends, but you're not going to know it's a dead end until you go down it. And some of us are stubborn enough that we're not going to believe it's a dead end till we find the dead end. And we may have to prove to ourselves every dead end that's there before we finally accept the only and the one reality. And Gunn is asking, but didn't he just say that it was no use to go on if you were not prepared? Well, I don't think he said it was no use. He said, you're not going to recognize anything in this book or accept it. Well, he said you're not going to accept it. But then he says, maybe you will recognize it. So there is a dichotomy there. And I think the whole point is really just that no matter what you do, you're doing the right thing. That the seeking is the right thing. And you've got to seek until you see, until you recognize. And that you're being guided through this seeking. So even when you have not found, and it seems hopeless, and you feel as if you will never find what you are looking for, that you are not going to be able to distinguish this truth, that you're wrong. You have to continue to move forward. That you have to have faith. He doesn't use the word faith, but you have to have faith. Hello, TT ASMR. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate seeing you here. And once you've accepted the one and only reality, the book says, then these words will find a response within. Be still and know I am God. This line truly resonated with Elvis. He wrote this in other books using this same italics and capitalizations, punctuation. He wrote it like this: be still and know I am God. Yes, I am that innermost part of you that sits within and calmly waits and watches, knowing neither time nor space. For I am the eternal and fill all space. So I am is not only in your heart, he's everywhere. You, as I am, are also everywhere. It's this message of unity. And that this innermost part of you, it's calm. And it doesn't recognize time or space. Because time and space aren't real. They're figments of man's imagination, ways for man to model the universe and see the universe, but that's not the universe as it is. And I am knows neither time nor space. I am is not man. The book says, I watch and wait for you to be done with your petty human follies and weaknesses, with your vain longings, ambitions, and regrets, knowing that will all come in time, and then you will turn to me, weary, discouraged, empty, and humble, and ask me to take the lead, not realizing that I have been leading you all the time. This is a restatement of what the book has already told us, that all that is good and all that is bad in your life, everything that Elvis has suffered, has come from I am, from God, who is in Elvis's heart, and that all things, good and bad, are blessings from God. They are blessings because they bring you to where you need to be to reach this relationship with Him, so that you can hear the I am in your heart. And the book has already told us this in the first 2 chapters. It's now telling us the same thing in another way. Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate seeing you here. The book says, yes, I sit here within, quietly waiting for this. Yet while waiting, it was really I who directed all your ways, who inspired all your thoughts and acts, impersonally utilizing and manipulating each, so as eventually to bring you and my other mortal expressions to a final conscious recognition of me. And so the path that you have walked, whatever path it is, it has been directed by I am, by your divine self, so that you could reach this point where you can begin to have these conversations. Begin to know what your true purpose is. And Gunn says that has been leading you all the time to not listen to I am or me. So that, yes, is yet another interesting dichotomy of the text, or a unity of the text, depending on how you look at it. Because the text is saying that when you have decided not to follow I am, not to hear it, not to listen, not to clear enough noise away to be able to understand the message, that too was directed by I am. You just think it was your personality. So yes, it's directing you not to listen to it at times, or at least you believe that's what it's directed you to do, because that's what you need to believe in that moment in order to move forward to get to this moment. And that to I am, there is no time. So all of these moments are one. And that's an even harder thing to wrap your head around. So the dichotomy isn't truly there because it's all one at the same time and a big ball of unity. And the book says, yes, I have been within always, deep within your heart. I have been with you through your joys and heartaches, your successes and mistakes, through your evil doing, your shame, your crimes against your brother and against God, as you thought. So the I am is deeply acquainted with you. It knows all of your sins. It knows your goodness. It knows what makes you smile and what makes you cry. And it is not disgusted by any of you. It has accepted you fully. It is a part of you, and you are a part of it. And now you've reached a point where you can begin to recognize your true evil doing and then make amends or whatever it is that the path needs for you. And the book says, whether you went straight ahead or straight aside or stepped backwards, it was I who caused you to do so. So again, this presence has been guiding you the whole time, always been with you. The book says, it was I who urged you on by the glimpse of me in the dim distance I was permitted. It was I who lured you aside by a vision of me in some bewitching face or beautiful body, or intoxicating pleasure, or overpowering ambition. I think the book is telling us here that many people see a path, perhaps he's saying to God, but I don't know that they recognize it as to God. They're recognizing it more as a path to fulfilling their desires. And they believe that the purpose of their life is to fulfill these desires. And having a purpose at all is like glimpsing the face of God. You now have some divine inspiration. However, they've twisted and rationalized and changed what the truth of the vision is. And they seek it in these bewitching faces or beautiful bodies or intoxicating pleasures or power, money, material objects. At least that's what I'm seeing in the text here, but I could be wrong. So if you have a different interpretation of what it's saying, or it's saying something else to you, feel free to put it into the chats, into the comments. I would love to see it. And the book says, it was I who appeared before you in the garb of sin, or weakness, or greed, or sophistry, and drove you back into the cold arms of consciousness, leaving you to struggle in its shadowy grip, until you awakened to its impotency, rose up in disgust, and in the inspiration of the new vision tore off my mask. So in some previous parts, I have identified the I am in your heart as your consciousness or your conscience. But the book is identifying the conscience as a construct of your rational mind, and that it is not truly powerful enough to guide you on the path of righteousness. And that at some point you will see that you yourself alone are not enough to walk this path. You rise up in disgust and you tear away the conscience, which is a mask of I am. It's a reflection of I am. It's trying to be I am, but it's still too much you. And it's not a direct line like you could have, and like you're getting with the book. And the book says, yes, it is I who cause you to do all things. And if you can see it, it is I who do all things that you do, and all things that your brother does. For that in you and in him, which is I myself. The book is telling us that I am is not just in you, it's in everything, as he's already told us that I am does not recognize space. It doesn't know space. It is all space at all times. It's in everybody's heart. Everything is one with I am. There is no division. The book says, for I am life. So it's told us to be still and know that I am God. And now I am life. God, life, I am. These are all interchangeable. They're all the same. They're all divine. The book says, I am that which animates your body, which causes your mind to think, your heart to beat. I am that which attracts you to your pain or pleasure, be it of the flesh, the intellect, or the emotions. So all of your mortal senses, the secular part of you, this is all a gift to you from I am. And it's a reflection of himself, of the I am, but on this mortal plane. And this includes your flesh, your mind, your body, your mind, and your emotions. And the book says, I am the innermost, the spirit, the animating cause of your being, of all life, of all living things, both visible and invisible. And there is nothing dead, for I, the impersonal one, am all that there is. Book seems to be telling us that death is not a permanent state as we believe that it is. That the divine part of you lives on in an eternal state as one with the impersonal one. The book says, I am infinite and wholly unconfined. This is again a restatement that the I am recognizes or knows no space or time. That these constraints that we feel and that we've created these models to understand, they're nothing to this I am. They bear no meaning at all. The book says, the universe is my body. All intelligence there is emanates from my mind. All the love there is flows from my heart. All the power there is but my will in action. The book is saying that these things that you feel, the love, the power that you have to change your world, the life of those that you love, your ability to do so, these are but the will of the I am in action. The gifts of the I am to you as a portion of the I am. The book says the threefold force manifesting as all wisdom, all love, all power, or if you will, as light, heat, and energy, which holds together all forms and is back of and in all expressions and phases of life, be those phases creative, cohesive, or destructive, is but the manifestation of myself in the act or state of being. This is an interesting passage, and it would have probably spoke to Elvis because, again, it reflects a religious idea that he's grown up with his entire life. And that's this idea of the Trinity. The book says the threefold force. Well, the threefold force is God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. The divine Trinity. The three that are always one, and yet always three. Something that's very difficult for people to understand. It's something that almost has to be accepted solely through faith. But Joseph Benner has given us two metaphors or models of ways to think about this. And I don't know that I've ever seen these two models presented in this way, but it's saying to think of the three as wisdom, love, and power. And of course, all wisdom, all love, all power. That all of these items in the universe are truly part of I am. Wisdom, love, and power. Which God might be power, wisdom would be the Holy Spirit, and love would be Jesus. Although they all have infinite wisdom, love, and power at once, we could see them as representing each of these pieces by themselves. Another way to look at them is as light, heat, and energy, which is a scientific way to look at them, a more modern way of understanding entropy or organization and chaos. But light, heat, and energy. So the energy would be God. The light would be the Holy Spirit. And the heat would be Jesus. The warmth. And it's these three powers, this force, this three that is one, which holds together all forms. And so this could be another reference to a scientific idea that I'm not sure how widespread it was in the time that this was written. But now we know that your body is held together, well, all forms of matter, by different types of molecular cohesion or atomic structure. Like, we know down to like a quantum level how a lot of this fits together, and a lot of it is energy and motion. Or light, heat, and energy. And that whether something is growing or whether it is falling apart, cohesive or destructive, all of these are manifestations of God's power. That there is no power without I am granting the power. And the book goes on. Nothing can be without manifesting and expressing some phase of me, who am not only the builder of all forms, but the dweller in each. So the book is again restating, I am lives within you, within Elvis, within every person. And I think this must have spoke to Elvis when he thought about his friends, who his religious beliefs were telling him would not go to heaven with him. But he looks in this book and he sees that God lives within his friends. And Elvis begins to wear the multiple symbols of religion, which may be an indication that he sees in all of the people of all of these religions that God lives within them, even though they're not part of his religion. And that perhaps the question of their being saved, of going to heaven, is beyond mortal man's comprehension of religion. But that the message of unity is clear. And the book goes on and says, in the heart of each I dwell, in the heart of the human, in the heart of the animal, in the heart of the flower, in the heart of the stone. In the heart of each I live and move and have my being, and from out the heart of each I send forth that phase of me I desire to express, and which manifest in the outer world as a stone, a flower, an animal, a man. So the wide variety of everything, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all a reflection of I am. And the book says, is there nothing then but this great I? Am I to be permitted no individuality for myself? I hear you ask. So the book recognizes that many of us, we will rebel at the thought of being an unindividual part of a whole, like an insect as part of a hive, or as a cell as part of a body. That we don't mind being part of a team. We want to be part of a whole. We like unity, but we also want our individuality. And Gunn says, what does the Bible today say about God being in stones? I can't answer that, really. I'm not enough of a biblical scholar to know. But from what I know about the Bible, I would say he was in everything. But I don't know. Good question. And the book goes on and says, no, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that is not part of me, controlled and ruled eternally by me, the one infinite reality. So there's somewhat of a harsh no here in the book, that this idea of individuality, you're going to have to give this up. So it's telling Elvis, one of the most individuals that we've probably all ever known, that his individuality is truly part of a much larger whole. And that the way he sees himself as an individual, that's going to have to change. And the book goes on, as for your so-called individuality, that is nothing but your personality, still seeking to maintain a separate existence. So the book clearly identifies your individuality as part of your mortal self, something that will fade away in time. It will not last through eternity. And the book says, but soon you shall know there is no individuality apart from my individuality, and all personality shall fade away into my divine impersonality. So now we've reached the meaning of the title of the book, the divine impersonality. There will be no individuals. There will be a collective whole. that what you think of as your individuality, well, it's a fiction anyway, because it's so very temporary. Something that's meant only for this plane of existence. The book says, yes, and you shall soon reach that state of awakening where you will get a glimpse of my impersonality. And you will then desire no individuality, no separation for yourself. For you will see that it is but one more illusion of the personality. The book is saying here to Elvis, don't be scared. That I know you're an amazing individual personality in this mortal plane. But once you actually experience the unity of the whole, of the divine impersonality, you won't want to be the individual that you are. It will not be a loss. You will not feel it as a loss. You, in fact, will know that you have gained, because you will be where you are supposed to be. And you will see that all of everything that you experienced here during the mortal phase of your existence was an illusion, except for the I am. And that is the end of this chapter. So we have reached the end of everything that I have prepared for today. I thought it might take us a little longer to get through that whole thing. So we do have a little bit of time if anybody's got any questions that I may not be able to answer, but I will give them a stab. And in the next episode, what we'll be doing is looking at chapter 4 of John the Baptist. I might sneak in another new Bible that you haven't seen. Well, an old Bible, but one that Elvis was connected to. And we'll get a little further into the Gospel of John, the wild man of the wilderness, what he has to say about Jesus, and how it connects back to this book, The Impersonal Life. And I think that if you're following this series, and you followed the karate series, and you're following me on Circle G, and you've watched some of my other stuff, you're seeing that the ideas in this book and in the Gospel of John, they resonate and reflect throughout Elvis's life. Like at the Circle G, he's trying to bring everybody together for a type of unity. When he rejected the tree of life, it was because of unity. He gave each of them a watch for Christmas that showed 2 different religious symbols and then nothing. And then the 2 religious symbols again every 20 seconds and cycle through them all. And Pat says that she's still trying to take all this in. It's kind of deep, right? But this is what Elvis was thinking about. This is what grasped his imagination and his interest so keenly. And now you can maybe imagine he and Larry sitting around talking about this stuff back and forth, with Elvis trying to wrestle with these ideas. And Gunn says that this chapter 3 was more confusing than the other 2, with some mixed messages. I think there are mixed messages. There definitely are. And I'm wondering if the author is using them to, again, reflect unity. That you see these as mixed messages, that they are confusing when you look at them, but that they are truly the same message when united within the I am. Now, I'm not positive about that. But this certainly captivated Elvis. And if you could have gotten into the suite at the Las Vegas Hilton and sat down on a couch next to him and said that you'd read this book and started talking to him about it, he would have talked all night long to you. So if for no other reason than to be prepared for that possibility, be a great reason to read this book. But that's everything that I've really got for you guys today. So I'm going to close out the episode, and I'm going to play us a song to go out. And I think that we'll play He Gave Away His Heart, because it talks about Elvis's generosity, which I think is yet another symbol of the unity that he felt with everyone. And that he wished to share his blessings, and through his blessings, the Word of God, with everyone. And until I see you guys all again, keep on taking care of business. But before I get out, I will address God, who says, sounds almost like the author is playing with us. That could be true, Gun. And Gunn says, I wonder why Elvis chose this old book. Well, it spoke to him in some way. And maybe by the end, we'll have figured it out. And now he gave away his heart.
Midnight lights, rhinestone fire, Arabian suit, burning with desire. He hit the stage like thunder rolls. Vegas shook and the story unfolds. Charlie's birthday, crowd went wild. He cracked a joke, then sang with style. But just before he sang Hurt So Deep, he stopped the show and made us weep. He gave away his heart, not just a song, diamonds and gold, where the love belongs. Rings and shades from the man backstage. He healed the broken, he lit the flame. Oh, he gave away his heart, and I saw it all that night. Black in hair, the man stepped near. Elvis smiled, the crowd could hear. Thanks to you, we raised the light. 17,000 hearts took flight. Then back behind the velvet door, he gave away a little more. Music ring, a boxcar shine, a suit that held his sacred time. He gave away his heart, not just a song, diamonds and gold, where the love belongs. Rings and shades from the man backstage. He healed the broken, he lit the flame. Oh, he gave away his heart, and I saw it all that night. He didn't need applause to know his worth. He gave away his soul in Vegas mirth. Not just a king, but something more. A man who knew what hearts were for. Gave away his heart, not just a soul. Pieces of love where the brave belong. Ritual gifts from the man backstage. save the hurt and heed the flame. Oh, he gave away his heart, and I'll never be the same. I was there, I saw the rings, I saw the light. Gave away his heart, and it burned so bright.